Hey guys, welcome back. So buying a mountain bike is a minefield. There's so many options out there. So this video is just to give you a clear idea of where you should be and what you should be looking for when you are purchasing a bike. Walking into a bike shop can be a very daunting experience for some, especially if you're in the market for a new bike and you're not too sure which one to go for. In this video, we're going to be breaking it down and simplifying it, making it a whole lot easier for you when you purchase your next bike. Here's 5 helpful tips to help you decide your next bike. So firstly, budget. What is the budget? What is your maximum price point that you can reach? That is number one priority when buying a new bike. Obviously, finance is readily available these days, and it is easy to walk in and get sucked into that deal. But what you've got to think on the long term is, yeah, I can afford £200 a month, that's fine. But when I wear out my chain, wear out the cassette and need to replace parts that are on the bike, can I afford to replace a £400 cassette? And these are the decisions when you are buying a bike that you need to process and work out, is it achievable? Once you've worked out your costing and what your budget is, the next thing that you need to work out is what type of riding is it that you do? What do you want the bike to achieve? So firstly, look at your local riding scene, look at where you ride, if you're traveling around the country and riding bike parks, if you're riding enduro, doing a little bit of racing, riding cross country, hardtail, smashing around your local canal paths, or riding skate parks or doing jibs. You have to work out what it is that you want to achieve out of the bike and where your local riding scene is. Prime example, you don't want to be buying a 170mm enduro bike when you're out racing at your local trail centre and putting laps of the red route in. But you've worked out your budget of the bike and what category of bike you are going for. The next thing that you need to decide on is spec. Am I better off going for a carbon frame, or am I better off going from an aluminium frame? What that will then revert back to is budget. So if you've, for example, got a £3,000 budget, is it better going for an aluminium frame with a higher spec, or is it better going for a carbon frame with a lower spec? In my personal experience of riding and advice that I would give you is always push for a better frame over spec. Spec can always be adjusted and amended at a later date, whereas the frame, it is a lot more expensive to reinvest your money into buying a new frame as opposed to components, so group sets and a higher spec fork. So my advice to you, if you're looking at kind of that budget, go for a carbon frame at a lower entry-level spec and then upgrade as you go on. One thing I will say when you are buying a bike is don't buy a bike on price and don't buy a bike on spec. It may be discounted, but it's discounted for a reason. You need to refer back to that question, is it the right bike for you? So the next thing to throw in is sizing. Bike sizing being number one, so what bike fits you? The best way to go about this is head down to your local bike shop and get sized up properly. You might be looking at measurements online that say you're a certain size when it comes to a bike manufacturer, but the best thing to do is go into the store, sit on the bike and try out and get sized up properly, because what you'll find in the bike shop is they will adjust the bike to fit you. So even if it means changing the bar width, cutting down the bars to make them shorter, bringing the stem a little bit closer, so putting a short stem on, and just fine tuning it so it is adjusted to your height and your specific sizing. You might have longer arms and shorter legs, or longer legs, shorter arms. So every bike is very different. So there's also wheel sizing to throw into the equation. So you've got 27.5, got 29 inch, and you've also got mullet setup, which is 29 up front and 27.5 on the rear. So now it comes to the conclusion, kind of what wheel size do you want to be looking at, which narrows back to discipline. So if you, for example, you're looking at a trail bike, XC bike, a 29er all day long is going to be faster and smoke your PBs around your local trail centres. If you're looking at racing enduro, maybe a 29er, full big travels will be better. Or if you're a shorter rider and you can't quite get on with 29ers, then possibly a 650 or a mullet setup. The best way to simplify wheel size is, if you're looking for something short travel and nice and playful and real agile, then 27.5. If you're looking for speed, then 29er all day long. If you're looking for that in between, a little bit of both, you want to ride fast, but also you don't have kind of the capability to throw the back end around, so you want to make the back end a lot more lively and playful, then put the 27 in the back and look at a mullet setup with a 29er up front. And then to conclude, you've got bike travel sizing. So when we refer to bike travel, that means what shock length the bike has got in the back. So when people talk about a 150, 160, 120, what they're referring to is the bike frame and the suspension size that's in the back of the frame. So just to make that easy, when we're talking about kind of cross-country racing or an XC trail bike, what you'll be looking at is either a hardtail, 100mm or less, or 120. So if it's hardtail to 120, you want to be looking at a 29er. If you're looking at enduro, it will be in a soft kind of trail bike, you'd be looking at 130 upwards to maybe a 150, that kind of area. And then if you're looking at enduro downhill, you'd be looking 150 upwards to 160, 170, 180. And then on the next scale, you've got downhill bikes. The final tip that I will give you when you are buying a bike is listen. Have your ears wide open. Take on what your local bike shop has to say. Take on reviews and look into every finer detail when you are making the purchase, and ensure that it's the bike for you. Don't get bought in by the price of it. Don't get bought in by the saving. Make sure that you get the right bike for you, because at the end of the day, mountain bikes are expensive and you've got to make the right decisions. If you've got any questions, drop them into the comments and we will get back to you. And if there's anything you want to know, just pick up the phone, speak to us at the shop. If you want to come and get sized up properly, we will happily do that, as we want you to enjoy every moment that you have on your bike. So there you have it, a buyer's guide on buying your next mountain bike. Hope you found this video useful. If you've got any questions, just drop them into the comments and we'll get back to you. If you want to speak over the phone or to anyone here at No Limit Cycling about bike and bike setup, please do get in touch and we will be more than happy to help out. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.